Data is becoming a very challenging domain for every organization. If you go to the rules and the regulations, it's a very long list of controls. We call it data controls. More than 191 controls are there. We will be the gateway for the Gen AI models.
Jehad, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Anton. My pleasure.
Jehad, you've worked at the Deloittes and PwCs of the world, but then 7 months ago, something's changed. You decided to start your own company. Why was this the right time for you?
Yeah, actually, we started from a real gap in the market that we saw in the past few years, especially in the Saudi market. Data is becoming a very challenging domain for every organizations. The rapidly growing amount of data that we are dealing with every day is putting a lot of pressure on organizations. This is from one side. And the other side, you need to build, of course, inside, you need to do decision makers with all of those data. And then the story of regulatory bodies like NDMO in Saudi and GDPR in Europe, they are also putting a lot of pressures on organizations. So we call it the duality challenge in a way or another. So based on all of that, there is a gap that we saw in the market between what the market need as an organizations, as government entities, and what is really there as solutions for the data from other companies around the world. This is how the idea started actually.
So let's talk about the detailed services because now we established the context. There's changes in the market. Saudi's changing a lot. There's new regulations for data. You spot a gap, you start a company. But what are the services that people are looking for? What is this gap that you're talking about?
Yeah, actually, it starts with compliance. If you go to the rules and the regulations, it's a very long list of controls. We call it data controls. More than 191 controls are there. So each organizations need to go into those controls one by one, and to achieve that, you cannot do it, by services, by employees. You will need software. This is where exactly we spot on the gap that I'm explaining here. When we talk about regulatory, any single organization, they might need to comply with more than one regulatory. So maybe you will need to comply with two, three, or even more, depends on your business, where you are residing and where you're doing business in any part of the world. So that's how the idea started.
So your company ensures that the data structure complies with the regulatory framework?
It's more than just simple compliance, because if you need to do a compliance software, it will be just questions and answers and submitting evidence documents. We do the actual work of, for example, data classification, personal data protection, doing data governance through a framework and a workflow manner. So it's way more than just being compliance, because that's an auditing, let's say, business and preparing some papers. It's more tied to the data, to your organization data. So we are connected to your data sources, and we help you to do personal data protection, for example, to classify your data according to the rules, to the regulations. So it's way more than just doing compliance. But by doing all of those things, naturally will be compliant with the regulations.
So do you do you start with companies that are growing and didn't have much of a software, or do you work with company that is already well established and you come in and you reorganize the entire structure? Like, what's your typical type of client? Is it like a up and coming startup, or is it a well-established company with a lot of data?
Both of them are options for us, because the ones who started, let's say, earlier with a lot of softwares and infrastructure, they will be in my opinion, struggling in building their compliance and data governance practice because of the legacy that they are holding for quite, let's say, long years of doing software and development. While new entities, they have maybe an let's say an easy path to be compliant and to do better, let's say, governance. But usually, those new entities, or less complicated, if you want to call them entities, they don't have maybe the right talents or the required budget to do it the right way. So each one of them has its own, let's say, cons and pros, and both of them we can, of course, help them in doing better data governance.
Regulatory compliance usually gets created because there is concerns about sensitive data.
True.
So you would be working around data that is considered either secret or very
Keep top
personal to
secrets.
individuals. Yeah. So my question to you is there a barrier to start working with a company? Like, since you're a newcomer in the market, how would they trust you with their most sensitive asset, which is their data?
Yeah, that's a very important question. Actually, as a foundation of our software, we knew that from the beginning. That's I would say a common challenge that everyone is facing nowadays. Uh, uh, if we started this, I will say, company as a SaaS or a cloud-based software, it will never fly because based on the regulations, as you said, we are dealing with sensitive data, with personal data, and most of those data belongs to governmental organizations, banking or insurance. So it was not easy for us to do multiple, let's say, architecture of the software. So we decided to make it on-prem. You can host it on your environment, air-gapped, without even being connected to the internet. The only thing that this software need to be connected to is your data assets, your own data assets or your data source. So we don't control the software. Of course, this gives a very big confidence to our clients that everything is secured, everything is in the right place. You don't need to be worried about anything.
And I want to ask a bit about like the talent and the technical requirement to actually achieve what you're doing, because it's not easy. As someone who has seen huge chunks of data, especially if they're not organized and well structured, and if you have to reorganize it and centralize it and create a better governance, it takes a lot of time, even if you have the best of talents. So usually, how long does it take for you from A to Z with a client?
Now, to onboard a client and to get, let's say, some benefits of the software, it will not be more than maybe a month and a half, let's say. But the nature of this type of softwares, Anthony, is it's an ongoing process. So it's not like adopting an ERP or a CRM system or any other applications because it starts big at the beginning, then slowly it will there will be no development or though there will be no change request or nothing after that. But in our case, we start with something which we call the onboarding process of the client, doing the training, the installations, all of those stuff. But then I will say it will be consistent after that. It will not go down. The efforts will keep ongoing because data governance, you are dealing with data and you are receiving almost data every day. So um, uh, that should be a core part of your organization. There is a total different nature of our software than other softwares.
You mentioned that there is government, banking that are working with you or that you're dealing with. How does a company that started 7 months ago get government contracts? Is it your network? Is it your past experiences? How do you get to these big fish?
Yeah, actually, part of it, yes, is because of our connection of our network in the market. Of course, we've been here for more than 20 years, me and and the founders of the company. Um, Other than that is the real need, because whenever you talk to someone that I have a solution for you for example, in data classification or in personal data protection, according to the local regulations. I know the local regulations, and we think that we make it even easier for clients to use the software. So once we deliver those messages to anyone, they will be interested to see the software. If they saw the software, I think they will go with us because, as I said, we are giving them an easy to use software that fully comply with the local regulations.
What about your co-founders or co-founder? How many are you?
We are three. I cannot disclose the two names. They are very big names in the market, but I think before the end of this year, we will do a very big marketing campaign. It will be maybe in the next 2 or 3 months from now.
Okay, interesting. Well, because usually I like to ask how partnership came together, because one of the main reasons why startups or companies don't work out is because eventually the co-founders have different visions and then they decide to split ways. So were all of you on board and had the same mission, saw the same gap, and are all as passionate about the subject? Is
Yeah,
that why
actually,
you came together?
it was hard at the beginning to set the momentum to agree on a certain, let's say, terms and let's say maybe objectives for the company. But after maybe few weeks, not even months, we had a full agreement and a full vision what we are doing and what we are planning to do. Maybe I can share with you some of those things. Our vision and our maybe aspiration is to become a data company. Governata is the first product. It's the first, let's say, data governance product that we are releasing. But I think in the coming maybe 6 to 8 months, we are planning to release more products than this one. We will have something for master data management, for example. We have other things for other data topics that we are really innovating right now. So this is the way that we build the vision, let's say, and the roadmap of the company.
That's amazing. I mean, that's quite fast, Jihad. Uh, a few weeks to establish yourself is very quick. So I want to ask you a bit about the market situation because we've talked about the changes, the regulatory changes. But what about the clients, the people, the companies? Do they understand the need for a software like yours? Or do you spend a lot of time educating clients about why this will help you down the line, why it's important to implement? Or do they already know and they like just implement it?
Yeah, that's very important. Actually, the regulators here in the country in Saudi Arabia, they made an amazing job. So the rules are there for a quite long time in Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's been like 4 years so far. So I think that the maturity level in data governance rapidly growing in the past few years. The awareness even is becoming way better than before. I remember maybe few years back to 2017, 2018, when we were talking about data governance, it was like with zero interest for anyone. Although at that time I was promoting other international, let's say, vendors' products. But right now, and again, thanks for the regulator, the awareness is much higher. Everyone is knowing what we are talking about. And our target segment is the CDOs or the chief data officers. Those are the one who will care most about our software. So I don't think there is any educational part of the journey here with the clients. It's more than about their requirements and how we can fulfill it and make their life easier through their data governance journey.
So in that case, what has been the most challenging part? It's been 7 months. It's not a short time, it's not a long
Yeah.
time. So what's been the most challenging for you personally?
Well, actually, a lot of things, but maybe the most challenging part was the developing of the software because if you have any application idea or any software that you want to build, it's very common today while you are searching for architects, developers, QAs, product owners, whatever type of technical skills that you will need to hire is to, at least you will have someone who built an enterprise reporting system before, or BI, or any other application, e-commerce, for example, fintech. In our case, finding a good developer who knows at least the basics of data governance was really a hard thing to do. So we decided to hire good, I would say, developers, and then we educate them and teach them about data governance. The worldwide, just like concept of data governance. Then they need to know the localization and the local version of the regulations for the country, which is again, it's not that easy thing to teach or to learn as a developer who just care about coding. That's, I think, one of the major challenges that we faced. The other thing, and I think it was very challenging, that you cannot release a software with one module in our case. You cannot
What
release it.
what do you mean? What do you mean?
You need to launch the software with several modules at once. So I cannot go to you as a bank or a government entity saying I
One
have only
solution. Okay.
I'm building the other three or four maybe after 3 or 4 months. They will never accept because it's far away from the regulations. So we had a lot of pressure to build the whole software in a very short time, and we need to cover all of those modules at once. Otherwise, it will not be convincing.
I'm curious if you can disclose how long it took to actually build it.
Almost a year.
A full year. Okay.
Almost a year, yeah.
Wow. Um, Jihad, I want to end with this. What's the next big milestone for you?
Okay, let me share with you some visionary ideas that we are working on right now. Because uh, everyone today is fascinated by Gen AI. I think we are using ChatGPT or any other Gen AI uh, software like on a daily basis. I guess that's for even a normal user, not a techie user. So we believe that our software, Governata, will be your gateway to Gen AI. Uh, uh, if you need, let's say, to chat with your data assets, with your databases in the technical words, it's really hard for the Gen AI model to understand the database. The hallucination things that everyone is talking about. Sometimes you will ask some questions or do some prompting for the Gen AI model, and it will start giving you ridiculous answers, or it will start
Fake.
inventing new things that does not exist.
Yeah.
No, that's the nature of Gen AI, but why we believe we are a good combination between data governance, our platform, what we are doing, and Gen AI, because we can feed the engine with, first of all, accurate data. We know, if let's say you take an example of any database, maybe 60 or 70% of it is the important part of the data. Others, there is no use of it. So this is the nature of our software, that we know where the important data resides. And we know the metadata, or let's say the data about the data. So we know the descriptions. We know every single detail about your data assets. And we know also the quality of your data, if it's bad or good. So I think we will be the gateway for the Gen AI models in a very short time, and that will provide the decision makers with what I can call it accurate answers from their own data assets.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense because the language model, is only as good as the data that you feed it.
True.
And so if you are the one organizing, structuring, understanding the metadata, then you are the perfect person to query the data and interact with it. So I think it's a very logical combination.
Yeah, but I'm saying this because we tried on the lab, Anthony. We tried that, and I think the results were crazy enough to think of the next step right now of the company, and even we are trying to make it faster because it's very logical when you think of it. It's very logical. If I can give the model, the Gen AI model, only accurate data with a lot of sense, a lot of metadata, as we said, the accuracy will be very high. It will be skyrocket. So that's actually what the decision makers are looking for. This is what they need. This is why they cannot go with any open source technology. Just hook it with the data and start prompting or asking questions. That will not give any value.
Mm. That makes perfect sense to me. Jihad, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited to see where you will be in a few months, a year, a couple of years. Um, Again, it was fascinating
Yeah, maybe we can catch up again to see how our progress.
for
It will be
sure.
a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Jihad.
Thank you, Anton.